William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet, and I'm here in the studio with Lerone Landis. The late Patti Fink is very late today, and she will be here next week. We have guests today in the studio, all over the studio and in the green room, and just all over we have people.
This would be the day we need our video camera.
It is. Because, and I need a teleprompter. However, let me see if I can read my notes. We're talking to the founders and the people who are creating the programs for Artitude. And as we were planning this, it seemed to me this is the perfect organization for KNON to have on, because we're the community radio station and they're the community art and film and publication and history program.
And painting.
That would be art.
Yeah. Well, you're naming the others.
So they just fit in real well. Talking to us first, two of the founders of Artitude are Rafik Saleh and Jerome Larez. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
And Rafik has been on the show before,
yes.
And welcome back.
Thank you.
Tell us what Artitude is.
Well, Artitude, we're a nonprofit, but our goal is to unite the LGBTQIA community and underserved communities through various artistic endeavors. Mm-hmm. So that's our mission. I think we have a really good model with that because our mission is so broad, it allows us to find people within various parts of our community to build these programs for us.
And we have everybody will hear as the hour goes on, we have a good bunch of, just a variety of people here.
Yes.
With all kinds of different talents, and that's exciting. Mm-hmm. Rafik, what was your vision for this when you started?
Well, when I first figured out that the art community is solely focused on people who have resources, and I think that in Dallas it's very prominent. And so when I met Jerome, we thought about something that we want to bring art to the community, mm-hmm. where people have access to those types of art. And through that, we realized that having collaboration with other small nonprofit organizations would elevate us in more of this monolithic perception of art in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're trying to break that barrier of putting us up front and center that is more community-wise than just a big...
And you're saying community, and Lex will talk about this in a little bit, but you have one show that's already going, and it's at the Latino Cultural Center, and that's
correct.
MariconX,
mm-hmm.
and a film that was already, that your organization already made,
yes.
Was shown at Pride Night at the DMA.
Mm-hmm.
A number of people saw it, Transposed, and we'll talk about that toward the end of the show. But it's more than just this community. You're taking this, you're taking the show on the road, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And again, other people will talk about their own programs, but just give us a brief idea of what it is that you're doing.
Well, we are bringing visibility to the community, mm-hmm. because when we have visibility, we're being acknowledged. And what these programs are doing, they're starting conversations, and that's the wonderful thing about art, is that it can start these conversations that maybe we've been having or they stopped, and that's what we're doing.
And what I was getting at, though, was you taking this around the state, and even next year going around the country.
Right. And also, too, we want to focus that it's that we want to give the LGBTQ community the platform to show what their art is, whether it's through performances, visual art, fashion, music, or film. And we don't have that representation that I've seen across the U.S. And I think that's where we shine in that area. And then on top of that, we want to also serve the underserved communities.
Well, one thing we were just talking a little bit about, Transposed was shown at the Dallas Museum of Art, and just from their own collection, they were showing and highlighting things that were produced by the LGBT community.
Exactly.
You know, like paintings and sculptures and other pieces. So we're there already.
Yes.
It's not like, ooh, wow, art, gay people. Who thought?
Right.
And isn't this an opportunity for, I guess, artists who have never had a show before, but they're really talented, and we all know somebody who's out there like they're really talented, but they don't have a platform. It's just a way for them to get involved with you all.
Exactly.
Right. And you know, and it was a wonderful event at the DMA and the Dallas Block Party. But you know, when you look at it, that was just one day. But when you look at who are the artists that are in museums, who are the artists that are in galleries, you know, minority groups are underrepresented there. LGBT people are underrepresented in these galleries. So there's where our mission comes in, is to give that platform and that audience to those who are underrepresented.
Good. Rafiq, you are going to be doing a program next year called Colors.
Yes.
What is Colors?
Colors is an LGBT art festival. We've had a lot of other things that kind of celebrate the LGBT, which we have the Pride in September. But I think culturally, we've never been exposed to the art aspect of it, and I think that's why important that we tie in those areas where it's more cultural for us to kind of expose that we are creative people, and we just don't have that space or the venue or the platform to show that. And so my take was to collaborate with young emerging artists, LGBT artists, focusing on that, to have a celebration of culture in art and in the LGBT Pride Month.
Josh is our board operator. He's a published poet, and I was going to say, you don't have poetry represented, but you said young. Leaves Josh out completely. You're
young
welcome,
or
Josh.
old, so we want to focus on those too. So yes, exactly.
Okay. So age, no.
No, exactly.
All right.
So I mean, we've collaborated with ARP, and that's amazing that they pitch in those ideas with us in the DMAP that we're probably gonna talk about later. But yes, absolutely, that we want to cover every age and every gender in this festival.
And where's it going to be? Do you even know yet?
It's either in the Arts District or it's either at the Fair Park. So I'm trying to find a really good venue that's not been utilized and that we can work with the city. And I think I want to be inclusive in that.
And we need to go on to Lee in just a minute. But
sure.
If somebody would like to participate, how do they get in touch with you?
They can go to artitude.org, so arttitude.org, and you can reach us through the contact form, and we'll be happy to either accept creative people who want to be a part of that festival, volunteers, or even sponsors who want to sponsor this event.
Okay, great. All right. Lee Madrid is doing the mural on Cedar Springs. DMAP is your project.
That's right.
Tell us just about the whole project.
Well, DMAP is like the map. When I came up with that, it was like I wanted to map out where all the murals are in Dallas. There seems to be new ones that come up, and I like for all of my friends that ride bikes to have a good bike tour and know exactly where they're going, to check out their favorite murals and share them with people as they come into Dallas. And then the idea came to me, it'd be a great idea to have some kind of virtual map also. So we're visiting Europe and we're telling people about Dallas, and it's like, hey, take a tour and look at our murals, you know. So that's in the future. But as a muralist, I also want to contribute some great community murals. And
that's what you're doing right now, and this is the exciting part. Some people might have seen it if you've been down on Cedar Springs. Tell us what's going on Cedar Springs.
So on Cedar Springs, we've got 2 murals that have been approved. One I've already started on, that's on the Nelson Thibodeau Clinic, and that one's focused on HIV and AIDS, and I really wanted to tap into what the community wants to see on the side of that. We've got a mural on the other side that people are used to seeing, but on the side that I'm painting, it's just been a gray wall.
So the side that we're talking about is the side near that other shopping center. It's as you're driving toward downtown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll see it over to the left.
And actually, the parking lot that I'm painting in is, if you're turn around, you'll see the tattoo place right next door. We'll be painting a transgender mural. That's the other one that's been approved right there. So they'll be right next door to each other and creating a cool little space there.
So,
I've never met a muralist, but I've always been fascinated by them because first of all, they're huge works of art, and I'm like, okay, how long does it take to do one, and do you do it all by yourself?
This one I'm going to do all by myself.
Wow.
And that's, it's a process, and you just kind of schedule it out on what you can get done. This particular one, it's interesting because I've got to be there at about 5 or 6 in the morning, right when the sun comes up, because the parking lot gets filled up about 9:30 or 10, and then 100 degrees kind of hits you at about that time too. So I get all my work done really early, and it feels great. And then I usually try to go work on another mural or some other project.
So is it Rafik who's scheduled that you out painting in June and July in Dallas?
No, that's something that it's optimal. People are kind of expecting that's when things outside will be happening, whether it's 112 or not. So you just kind of do your planning.
Though, so it rains a little bit, so you do it the next day.
If it's up to me, I'll do it year round. So we'll be out here doing it all the time.
So your first mural is about AIDS, which is appropriate since it's on the Nelson Thibodeau Clinic building. What is it going to be?
That's a great question. Okay, so when we did the block party, we came up with the design with 2 hands that created a heart and some really cool geometric shapes, very colorful in the background, giving the opportunity for the general public to come in and fill in those geometric shapes. So I'm going to use that kind of same design, but I have the upside down hands, and then I flip them right side up with the other. I'm doing it in the studio, but people can't see, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And
hold it up to the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. It's that thing I think Britney Spears does. I don't know, but anyways, so you've got the 2 hands. One's on one side of the building, the other's on the other. The geometric shapes will kind of bind in the middle, and it'll turn into the AIDS quilt that'll be viewed from up high, and you'll see silhouettes of people as they walk around the AIDS quilt.
Awesome.
Also in the geometric shapes, we're going to have the statistic lines, like from 1970 to present time of, how many people live with AIDS and different stats like that.
And then the transgender mural, what is that going to be?
Mary P. Johnson, I believe, is going to be the main subject. The 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots and that kind of thing. I think that's going to be the main focus. I really want to get some more.
Marsha
P. What is that? Marsha P. Johnson.
Mike.
Yeah, Marsha P. Johnson. And anyways,
whispering in each other's ears.
The idea is to kind of get more input from the community exactly on how the design went.
So when is that one going to be done?
I think it's been approved. It hasn't been. We haven't scheduled it out. I imagine I'll be done with that in about 3 months. So we are talking about painting most of my paintings in August and September, unveiling most of them in October.
How do you become a muralist?
Well, that's a good question. So I paint portraits mostly, really large portraits on my own. I've got like a 5x6 MLK and just a few different collections. And then I wanted to show my art. I was in Salt Lake City, and I met a muralist who was working on some community projects, mosaic tiles on pillars and different things like that. And so I got into the Utah Arts Council and started working with other muralists. And the Center of Documentary Arts and Expression and Arts, they keep changing the name. They picked me up. They're a nonprofit, and I worked for them for about 8 years, going into high schools, taking some Native kids and Mormon kids out to see some beautiful Native rock art, and listening to a Native storyteller, and then creating murals off of that experience. And so, I just became a muralist through that process. And then moving down here, I met these two, Jerome and Rafik, and they said, "Hey, you're a muralist. Why don't you create a mural program?" And I said, "Okay, I'll try to figure out what I want to do." And they're like, "Come up with a name and what you want." And DMAP is the baby.
I like that. So you really start the way anybody starts.
Organically.
Like when I was a kid, I had to take piano lessons. I was the worst piano player that you can imagine. And some friends were taking painting lessons, and I said, oh, I want to do that. And so I started taking paintings. But that's how you started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just painting on a canvas, because you couldn't take a wall and bring it home with you and, and work on it at home and then bring it back.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've met muralists. I've got a great friend down in Johnson City who has a brother, and they have a studio, and they roll those things out and then they install them. So I've worked on those type of projects. People will ask me, come paint something on my restaurant or in my kid's basement or in my kid's bedroom. So it just kind of evolves until you've had experience with all these different types of...
So it's just taking a painting and making it bigger.
Yes, but facilitating that process becomes a whole different thing. And I think having kind of a teacher's mentality, being very open, that brings me to where I am, to where I can work with the community and facilitate a mural, plan it out, and say, hey, what do you want to see on your mural? And being able to translate that into a design that everyone's approves of and likes.
The one place that we've been really successful with murals here in Dallas is at Bishop Arts.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there have to be other walls. I hadn't thought about it. There have to be other walls around the city.
Absolutely, and I'm finding these different pockets of, the Cedars down. We're working with AARP in the Cedars on South Lamar. There's places that are, everyone hates this word gentrification, but are being, redeveloped. And so we want to say, well, what does gentrification mean to us? Bishop Arts District is kind of taking over what it was is known as Oak Cliff. And Oak Cliff has a lot of things to say as well. I have got a mural going down there as well on Jefferson Street. And as they get redeveloped and the Bishop Arts creates more, tourists and things like that, well, we want to make sure that the community has a voice and doesn't get pushed out by that and is reflected.
My daughter asked me not too long ago, do people get in trouble for spraying graffiti outside of buildings? I said, in some places they do. And I was trying to explain to her, but that in fact is still art. Can you talk about the difference? Is there a difference between a mural and graffiti?
I absolutely think there is. I mean, graffiti can be, just putting my name somewhere and just tagging, right? And so it's quantifiably proven that murals help that tagging go down, and the trash around, and just different things like that. So, something called creative placemaking, where we try to do away with that kind of just putting your little stamp on things. But people have created beautiful graffiti, and if you go in certain places, New York City, you'll find that in museums and different things like that. So I try to, like in Utah, I worked with judges who would send me graffiti writers, and I would, as their community service, we would do the mural I'm working on.
Oh, awesome.
And so I want to develop that program here in Dallas as well, so judges can send me graffiti writers. Not only will they appreciate murals and learn a different way to kind of put that on there, but I think they kind of respect it a little bit better. And then as we create that that relationship, we can designate a wall for the graffiti writers to come and recreate beautiful works of art that they like to do.
Lee, I want to thank you. Lee's project is DMAP, Dallas Mural Art Project. It's part of Artitude. We're talking to the different program directors from Artitude. This is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here with Lerone Landis. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is Rollins Gilliland, and I'm listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3, and darn glad to be doing it.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. Our guests are the creators of Artitude and the program directors of the programs of Artitude. And I got that right. It came out in English, and Rafiq is giving me the thumbs up sign. So thank you, Rafiq.
You did well. And one of the there's several projects as part of Artitude, and one of them is called Last Night in Black History. Here to tell us more about it is Stevie Downer. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Tell us, what is Last Night in Black History?
So the Last Night in Black History is a cultural project of Artitude, and it is a geological timeline that goes back into history, and we're highlighting poetry, fashion, music, art, all in one theatrical play. So we're kind of encompassing different aspects of the arts and putting it into a theatrical play.
So it's the Last Night in Black History, Last Night of Black History Month, which is February. So it's going to be on February 28th next year.
It is February 28th, 2019, and it'll be held at the South Dallas Cultural Center.
And this will be an annual event?
Yes. So this is our second year producing the play. And last year it was very successful. It was at the J. Eric Johnson Central Library, and we had a great turnout. We worked with multiple organizations to make the play happen. So,
tell us about the play then.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, okay, this is next February. You're still working on it, but you've done it already.
But the play has already been written and performed.
Well, this year we have a different theme. So every year there will be a different theme that will be produced, and this year our theme will be the Founding Fathers. So we're going to be highlighting the Black Founding Fathers of different industries, and those industries include education, medicine, entertainment, music, and military. So our director for the play, Michael DeAndre Childs with Artists Unplugged, he will be directing our script and creating different themes for each of these characters, and we'll be highlighting them and showcasing the different achievements that they've accomplished and the different goals and the triumphs that they've had to go through in order for them to become not even successful, but just to become, you know, who they were at the time.
Okay, you threw out the different areas, but and you said the Founding Fathers. Who are some of these people?
That actually is going to be up to our director.
Okay, so you're still working on.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are still working on solidifying who we'd like to highlight. We just know that we wanted to focus on these specific fields, you know, government, medicine, military, education. We wanted to focus on those fields and just highlight leaders throughout history who have been a pioneer in those different.
Well, if you do radio, Lerone needs to be highlighted.
Can we please highlight you in the play?
Because he's been doing this show forever.
Yeah, forever.
Okay, so what was this year's show?
So it was actually, we dated back into history. So basically, we were starting in ancient Africa, and we went all the way through to 2000, the early 2000s, and we basically highlighted different figures through different periods in history. And we highlighted Nefertiti, and we highlighted Booker T. Washington, and we also touched on the transatlantic slave trade. So there was multiple fields that kind of flew into the production itself.
Now, is this kind of like more of a, it's a play, so how many actors do you have, or did you have, and how long was it?
So last year, we actually had quite a few actors because there was different scenes, and since we had different periods in history that we were showcasing, we wanted to make sure that each scene had its own unique spunk to it and different, you know, actors for different characters. I believe last year we had over 25 actors in the play.
Wow. Okay.
They were included as dancers. The organization Artists Unplugged is who we're working with to provide the actors and the entertainment for the play. So these individuals are all actors and dancers, musicians. They're all extremely talented and very well.
Yeah, and you said it's a play, but it's also tribal dance, musical numbers, prehistoric storytelling, poetry. It's
right. It's all of that encompassed into one play.
Program.
Right.
Okay.
And also, you have fashion designers that showcase all the clothing from all different eras of that timeline.
Yes, we did. We worked with the Art Institute of Dallas. So we worked with student designers, and they were able to design different items depending on whichever era they wanted to design in. We had them design costumes, and we presented a small fashion show. And the audience loved that. We're actually working with the Art Institute of Dallas this year again for the play in 2019, and we were able to work it out with this school so that the students would receive credit in their classes for being involved in the play. So their garments are going to be graded as part of their fall, I believe it's the fall, a grade for their fall classes.
Semester. Yeah. One of the classes.
So quickly before we move on to Lex, just how did you get involved with Artitude?
So I have been involved with Artitude for about a year Is it okay if I say? For about a year and a half now, or maybe a little less. I am in a relationship with one of the co-founders.
You can say that.
Can I say names?
No.
Actually, yeah.
Jerome.
Yes. Yes, Jerome Lares and I, we are together and very super supportive.
You realize this is an LGBT show. we're not shocked by
You can
this.
say that.
Yes. I just didn't know if it was okay to
Yeah.
put him on blast like that. But yes, we've been dating, and he asked me to come on board when Present the Last Night in Black History is one of the cultural projects. So that's when I just stepped in, and I've done some fundraising events to help with some of the other programs that Artitude has produced, including Transpose, and just trying to kind of help out wherever
Sure,
I can. with the
I'm
organization.
sure, even though we have a program director for each of these programs at Artitude, I'm sure you all help each other with each other's
yes.
things. So
Everybody's very supportive. We're all one really big family.
So we'll look for this next February 28th, because next year's not a leap year, since it's the last night of Black
night of
History
Gay
Month.
History Month. That's a good one. The last night of gay history.
That would be yesterday.
Yes.
Because this is Pride Month.
Right.
February is Black History Month.
Yes.
And we'll look for more details because
Oh yes, so
this is still in the
we're
planning.
still bringing in more organizations to work with, including Banda and Coro, which is the African drum and dance group, and of course the Art Institute of Dallas. So yes, we're looking forward to bringing in more organizations and Black art organizations to be involved.
So what Artitude is doing is a whole variety of programming, cultural like yours is. There is a current exhibit going at the Latino Cultural Center. Lex Treviño has put this one together, and it's called MariconX.
Yes. Hey, how are you guys
Welcome
doing?
back, Lex.
Thank
Been a
you.
while.
Back again.
Tell us about MariconX.
So MariconX is a traveling art concept. So this is actually, right now the show that's running at the LCC is our 4th show that we've done.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show about you're going statewide and even nationwide.
Yes, so this is the 4th show, the second one that we've done in Dallas. Our first show was on May the 4th at the Oak Cliff Cultural Center. It was a one-night pop-up show. We went into the show with little expectation. We said we're going to get these artists together and we're going to present them and we're going to see who shows up. So we did the show thinking we'd have 50, optimistically 75 people show up. We had over 220 people show up that night. It was like a bar. When it came to closing time, we had to ask people to leave. Like, people just, they were eating it up. And all night long, the one thing that we kept hearing was, please keep doing this. Please keep highlighting these people. Please keep creating these spaces.
So again, these are new artists. Or actually, some of them are not new, but not known yet.
Some of them are established artists. They come from all over the cities where we're hosting the show. So these particular artists are from Dallas, or they currently live in Dallas. So a lot of our artists are actually immigrants that have moved here from Mexico for different reasons. So we do, and you can say new artists, they're newly presented to the community. So there's no age factor, and there's nothing that kind of defines who they are.
Now, I think this is interesting because it's more than just the show that's going on at the Latino Cultural Center. You're getting local artists, and different cities are having you do smaller shows, but shows in their cities with local artists from those cities. Tell us about that.
Yes, so right now we have our show that's at the Latino Cultural Center. We just last weekend had a show at Pride in the Park during the McAllen Pride event, and that featured 7 artists from the Rio Grande Valley. And there's a great article, if anybody has a chance to look it up on neta.org, that features each one of those artists. So they're all from different places in Rio Grande Valley, such as Brownsville, McAllen, Far, Texas, and those artists are amazing artists that we're excited to bring to Dallas and to bring all around Texas. What we're doing is we're just collecting artists from every different city that we go to so that eventually we can just start bringing them into the different cities. We actually just got back, Jerome and myself, yesterday from San Antonio, setting up our next show, which will be in San Antonio. It's going to be a month-long exhibit at Galeria Eva, and that will be from August the 11th to the 31st. will be up and running, and that's going to be a pretty amazing show. We've got about 6 San Antonio artists that are going to be featured there. As of right now, we may be getting more artists before the show goes live.
And you have one coming up in Austin.
We already did the
You
show
did
in
the Austin, okay.
That was on June the 1st, so we had 6 artists that were featured there. And we actually did that in cooperation with the Knon Clinic in Austin. So it was a really interesting show.
Which is a transgender clinic.
They do transgender healthcare and they do PrEP. They offer services for all kinds of things in the community. So with them, what we did is before the actual show, we had what they called a Kind Talk, which was a big sit-down panel with Latinx community leaders to talk about stigma and PrEP and HIV in the community. And that then led into the show, which was a great turnout. It was a pretty amazing show. And that was a show unto itself.
And so you've picked up a few artists or more when you go to a different city. Do you intend to do that, or you want to do that, pick up more as you go along?
Definitely. What we thought of when we came up with the concept was that we wanted to create a community. We want to create a statewide, nationwide community and kind of link these people together so that they can become, a family in a sense and share information and share their art and spread their word. California has a very strong Latinx queer art movement, and we want to get up there with them. Not only that, we want to share our art. We want to, show what we got here because it's very different.
Tell us about the show that's here, because it's a big show. It takes up most of the Latino Cultural Center.
Takes up both galleries.
Both galleries of it, yeah. And that's what I mean by most. It doesn't take up the theater, obviously. But tell us about the show, because it's a real varied show. There are 6 artists or 7?
There's 7 different artists that are featured. We have painters, we have photographers, we have a fashion designer that's featured in that one. So Enrique de Altamirano is our fashion designer. He does wedding dresses. He also does giant, extravagant, beautiful ball gowns. And he does some...
historical.
Yes.
Those are the ones that really struck me.
Yeah, and the ones that we have there now, I believe, are like a Marie Antoinette, and he has another one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but they're beautiful. They're huge. They're intricate. They're amazing pieces.
And Lex tried to try one of them on. It didn't fit.
I did. I just wanted to be pretty. One of our featured photographers, Deborah Gloria, is based here out of Dallas. She's an established artist who has a studio here in Dallas, does catalog work. But when I approached her, she said, I have this series that I don't get to show often. People know my other stuff. They've seen my headshots, but she had this series. It was a series of black and whites called Sensuality. And it's all about women's empowerment and women's bodies, because she said every time that she would try to post online some of her artwork, she would get censored. And I wasn't exactly sure what she meant.
She had her Facebook page shut down several times.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure what she meant until I tried to post some of her work. And within seconds, they not only shut down my Facebook page, the Artitude Facebook page, our event page, because there was a tiny sliver of a nipple in like the upper left corner.
And she showed me that picture. When I was there, she showed me the picture, and I had to walk up to it, and I went, oh yeah, that's a nipple there. It's such a gorgeous piece. It is just stunning.
Wow.
Yeah, this would be like the Dallas Museum of Art putting one of their paintings online and getting shut down for it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing at some of the censorship. So that was what her whole series was about, was women's bodies, the beauty of women's bodies, and taking that sensuality and that power back. So it's a really amazing series that she has, and we're lucky to have a few of those pieces up. Armando Sebastian is another local artist. He's pretty well known. He has giant, beautiful, colorful pieces. They're very Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera-esque. He's from Mexico, and so he brings that influence here, so it brings a real heavy touch of culture and beauty. We also have another artist.
With some writing on a couple of them in Hebrew.
He does. He is influenced by a lot of Mexican culture, and then he also says that he's influenced by anime and different cultures in general. There's actually a great article written in The Voice by David Taffet that kind of covers everyone.
Yeah, you need to go look at that article.
But another one of our artists that has really made an impact here lately is Marcos Salcedo, who's a local artist here, and his series is based on his experience as being an immigrant in the United States. One of the pieces that he has that really touches me when I heard the story is the last time that he remembers seeing his father, because his father was deported and then he was killed trying to come back, into the States. And so he put that into his art, and that passion and that beauty and that pain is there. And so all the pieces that he has, they reflect that time. And he talks about, growing up with what he felt like was shame of being an immigrant and shame of then finding out he was LGBT, and all those things. But then the experience of taking those and creating something powerful and becoming who he is today. So he has some beautiful pieces. That's an amazing series that he did for us. And I'm excited to actually take those and kind of spread them around Texas when we have the opportunity.
I mean, a number of pieces. I love the fashion that's in it because it's not what you usually see when you walk into a gallery. They stand there like sculptures, and they're just gorgeous. I also loved, you have one transgender artist, and in one of her paintings, she shows the hardest part of the day, and there's a razor and a wig. She has to prepare to be herself at the beginning of the day. And just her description of it, it was very sad. So it's a wonderful exhibit. It goes through the end of July.
Yes, it'll be up until July the 28th here at the LCC. Like I said, our next exhibit will be in San Antonio at Galeria Eva. The opening will be on August the 11th, and that'll run through August the 31st. And then our last show for 2018 is scheduled here in Dallas. It'll be a huge show that's going to feature artists from all over Texas. We're going to have some of our main artists from each one of our shows. And that'll be the last show for 2018.
Where will that be?
That is still in the works. We're working on getting a big space where we can actually show an exhibition that'll stay up for a while.
Good. And next year you have some big plans. We need to take a break, but just quickly, you have some big plans for next year.
Yes, sir. We're already in talks with the gallery in New York and possibly a Pride Center in Miami. So we're looking at going nationwide next year.
That's the way we do it here in Dallas, right? We're talking to the founders of Artitude and the project and program directors of the programs that Artitude is putting on. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. This is Lambda Weekly. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hi, this is Valletta Lil, and I listen to Lambda Weekly. I hope that you will too.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here with Lerone Landis.
And the next project we want to talk about as part of the series of projects in Artitude is one that kind of deals with the art of the written word. And that is Opaline. And here to tell us more about it is Megan Oberman.
Yeah, so Opaline is a peer-reviewed creative publication that focuses on telling the stories from the margins. And I've been with Artitude for, since we began about 4 years ago. And at that time, I didn't have a program in mind, but we kept throwing around this idea of narratives, that was an important part of our mission, was to tell stories and elevate these narratives. So I'm an English composition instructor and graduate student, so it just seemed like the right fit, especially last January. That's when we started, when we put out this, at that point it was just me, I put out this call for art for, of course, a resist theme, and got a large enough response that we were able to publish our first issue last July, our resist issue.
So tell us about some of the pieces that were in there.
Oh, we had a variety. This one, I put the call out with simply resist, which was quite a common theme at that time. But the submission just kept rolling in. We had some from the disabilities community, which I found particularly impactful, and it inspired me to actually bring on an accessibilities editor so that we could make sure that, if we're elevating voices from the disabilities community, that all of them have access to it. So we have it screen reader compatible, and images are captioned with alt text. And we had, everything in between. We've got drama, we've got poetry, graffiti art, actually, speaking back to that from earlier. Everything in between, really.
So do you have personal essays and poetry also?
Yes, personal essays, poetry. I pretty much say anything I can print in a book. I will print in this book.
So Artitude is a project of the LGBT community, and it's LGBT artists and other. So is everybody in your publication LGBT or not?
No. However, I know that the LGBTQ community is an intersectional community. So it's not just them, but it's also their families. And they're not just LGBTQ. They are also within the disability community. They're within the undocumented community. And these stories come together to create their experience. We have quite a few family members as well that came forward with this resist on behalf of their LGBTQ family members or friends.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. If you think about it, the LGBT community and the T community are different things. One's sexual orientation, one's gender identity, and the right wing loves to put that wedge in there between us. They tried to do it with the bathroom bill this year, and we wouldn't let them. Because we're them, they're us, they're different things. You do need to understand the difference, but discrimination and all that, it's wrong no matter what it is. Right. So, I mean, what you're saying makes perfect sense. What are you looking for the upcoming issue?
Well, our upcoming issue is actually in the layout design stages. It is an Imagine issue, and that theme came to me. I was, tasked with deciding how to follow up a resist issue when we are still resisting. Like what happens now? Do we continue with this theme? Where do we go? And then I read Noemi Klein's No Is Not Enough, and in it she talked about imagining that future. So we're resisting, but we've got to push forward. We've got to imagine where we're going. The future is coming. No one can stop that. And so I came up with an Imagine theme. And this one, by the submissions alone, became a bilingual issue. We have Spanish and English submissions in here. And my editorial board has grown from 3 people to 10 people now. So we're growing, and we're imagining what Opaline can do as well.
What how did you find your writers? Or clearly through submissions, and is anybody open to submit?
Yes, anyone is open to submit. This is actually also international. We have people from across the globe that have submitted. I put out the call for submissions in various venues, such as the University of Pennsylvania has a call for submissions page you can go to, as well as social media, word of mouth, and I've also just reached out to a variety of friends and friends of friends, and it continues on networking to find some of my editors, and they have brought me artists as well. In fact, one of those has brought me our layout designer. So our team keeps growing mostly by someone getting involved or someone submitting, and then they come right along. We've actually got an artist from MariconX who's going to be on the cover as the cover art.
Nice.
So.
Which one, or can't you tell us?
Yes, it's Armando Sebastian. He has a beautiful piece that will be on the cover that really captures our theme of Imagine in a way that I didn't expect. And his submission actually is captioned in Spanish. So,
where can you get the magazine, or is it online only?
It is online. We are always talking about having something print that we can hold in our hands, which is definitely a goal that I have. But for now, if you go to artitude.org, click on the programs tab and find Opaline. Last year's is there. There's an accessible version that you click on for our users or readers who are visually impaired or blind. They can use that. And here within the next few weeks, Volume 2 should be joining it.
Great.
Awesome.
I mean, I think this is fascinating, this whole project. That
it is.
There's so many different facets to it. Thank you, Megan. One of the other projects is film. And we have Kurt Straussen, who made the film Transposed. It premiered that was the premiere, yes, at the Dallas Museum of Art?
No, we've shown it a few other times.
Oh, okay. But it was shown, a lot of people did see it at Pride Night at the DMA a few weeks ago.
Right.
And you're working on a second part to the film already. Tell us, how did you get into filmmaking?
Well, I was a painter for about 10 years, and then, excuse me, I was a musician for about 6, and I started making my own music videos, and then I started realizing that if I can make music videos, I can make a short film. So I made a film called Peacock that happened to win Best Actor Award at the London Film Awards, and I thought, I think I'm doing something right.
Nice.
So I started moving in that direction, and I also do photography.
Nice.
So tell us what Transpose is.
Transpose is the first one that we did that's been shown is about the trans community, and it's their own voices. We specifically had people send in video talking, answering a number of questions, and we compiled all those and put them together. It was raw. It was, I would say, I'm a huge punk rock fan, so it was very punk. It was just everyone filming in their own way, at their own place, at their own time, and so it's a very unique visual experience. And we're going to revisit it with Transpose Revisited. And now that story is going to be more about families, and specifically with us filming each person, their backstory, their lives, their experiences.
So with the families, you're talking about the spouse, the children?
Correct. Everyone, adult children, young kids, adopted, anyone and everyone.
Oh,
what
awesome.
What are you finding with these? Are you finding good stories?
Beautiful stories, very touching.
Because that's good to hear, because I've heard so many horrible stories about how families react to their transgender relative.
Well, there's always going to be someone in a family. That's what I found. There's always going to be someone in the family that's going to have a problem. But what matters is the love that's there. The love, and I believe the love will outshine the negativity and the anger that people face.
I hope that's becoming the norm.
I hope. How did you find your subjects?
We've had it through contribution, like people would contribute and say, hey, I've got a story I want to share. We've also reached out to certain people and said, you seem like you'd have a fascinating story to tell. Would you like to be a part of this? So they've done that as well. So I'm honored to be a part of it and brought into it.
And to add to that, Transpose 2 or Revisited, we've been funded by the Office of Cultural Affairs. And so that's amazing that we can move forward with this project without them supporting us in that funding.
And I was just going to ask, you know, you put up an art exhibit, okay, so the artists did their work and you hang it, and the Latino Cultural Center has been very generous with their space. How do you fund a film?
The Office of Cultural Affairs.
Besides that, sell plasma. I mean, it's pretty much.
What are you going to be doing with this film, with the 2 films now?
With both of the films, we would like to, frankly, give people hope and reach out, so that there's 2 very important things. Number one, we want people to have a voice. And we also want people to know that they're not alone. Because our dream and our goal is to have a situation where someone sees this and thinks, I thought I was the only one, or I didn't think I had the courage to come out as who I am, or my family hates me. Wait, that family by blood doesn't accept you, but this family, this is your adopted family. And I think we can all relate that sometimes an adopted family will be there more for you than blood. So that's very important to us.
And where are you planning on showing it in the future? Film festivals or
Sundance? That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Anywhere and everywhere, wherever they want us. The same goes for Transpose, the first one. Wherever they want us, we're there. You know.
Actually, Transpose, the first film, it is an award-winning film that was screened last year.
Yeah. So it was.
Where at?
Q Cinema.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So we won the community award, I believe, for the film.
Okay, so once the filmmaking bug bites you, you can't stop.
Never.
So what are you working on, or not working on yet, because you're working on Transpose Part 2, which will be out when?
August, we are going to be showing it.
Where?
I don't think we've really
signed yet. Or
we're in talks right now, possibly the DMA. We're also looking at renting out the Angelica to do a screening there.
Nice.
If anybody is interested in bringing it to their organization or doing a screening themselves, you can reach out to us, because we're always looking for sponsors. We're always looking for people who want to see it. We're looking for organizations. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're trying to use this film as an education tool that can be given to a community to help reduce stigma and to help open people's eyes to trans people and their families.
Okay. So what my question was, going back, was you must have some ideas going forward for some things after this one's done and out and start circulating.
Oh, I'm always doing that.
So what are some of the ideas?
Well, I'm actually in the middle of working on the side when I've got free time, which is very rare. But I'm working on something called Tell Me a Story, and it's believed that everyone's got a really interesting story to tell. So I interview people randomly on the street and have them tell their story, and then I also film other things and add it to the footage. So it's kind of coming together. It's pretty interesting. So it's a little on the vein of Transpose, except it's with various people, and some stories are funny as hell. I'm sorry, can I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Usually I'm on internet radio, and I can say anything.
Yeah, that's not one of the words.
Okay, that's not one of the words? All right. I'm going to quote George Carlin in a second if you're not careful.
Those are the words.
Those are the words. But no, it's quite fun. I'm always looking for new projects and anything and everything. Most of my films are experimental, underground stuff. I also do photography, usually very erotic BDSM.
So, going back to the Transpose, were you surprised at any of the stories that you heard or while you were filming?
I think every story struck a nerve with me in a unique way. I mean, there wasn't one specific story that just did it. But when you're going through 3 or 4, 5 hours of footage and you're trying to condense it to an hour, you're sitting there and trying to figure out what story hits you with the strongest impact. And so I'm sitting there listening and watching, and the pain it got overwhelming at times because a lot of stories were so difficult to hear about, and it's tough.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but not to give away the whole entire film, but is one of the subjects a child?
Yes, Orion.
Okay.
Great kid. He's a wonderful kid, and we're interviewing him as well for the sequel to Transpose.
Oh, awesome.
Him and his family?
And his mom. But I don't believe his father will be part of it, but his mom will.
Well, that kind of gives a clue as to what
that's disgusting.
Story is. Yeah. Good. We're running out of time. So MariconX is running through the end of July 28th.
Yes, we'll be up through July 28th.
And you'll be back the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Transpose, next place you can see it is... Do we have a place locally yet?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay. Let us know and we'll announce it.
Great, thank you.
Opaline, the next issue will be online this month. This is a gay organization, so, that's how we do the dates and times. And we're all with you on that.
And then Last Night in Black History will be
the last
next
night.
year, February 28th.
And DMAP is going up right now as we speak, the first one. Do you know what I was thinking as we were talking about that? Great place for some of these murals would be Deep Ellum if they don't tear it all down.
Well, and that's been a great spot where people have already been attracted to murals. So, if we could bring that into it, I feel like that's kind of a natural thing that's going to happen, because when you talk murals in Dallas, people usually bring up Deep Ellum.
Yeah, that's first thing that went to my mind.
And all the ones that were destroyed to put in dark. And Colors...
Colors bring all of these programs together in next spring, 2019.
And... Go ahead.
And of course, we have the Resonate, which is the podcast that we have it online and on our website at artitude.org.
Okay, and that's up and running already?
Yes.
Okay, when does it go up?
We have 3 podcasts out there right now.
Okay, so it's not an every Tuesday thing or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so look for the podcast. Everybody, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Stick around for a second. We want to get a picture. Next week on the show we have, we're real exec too. She's running for office and she'll be here. And I can't
She's got my vote.
I think it's another legislative candidate, and those have been a lot of fun so far this year.
I thought it was Ken.
No, he's the week after.
He's the week after.
Ken Upton from Lambda Legal is going to be with us in a couple of weeks, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
For all of us here at Lambda Weekly and everybody at Artitude, thank you, Artitude. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, David.
We've never had this many guests on the show in 34 years in 1 hour, so it was a lot of fun. We'll see you next week.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below or like, follow or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.